good to see you. Welcome to Popternative.
Thank you so much for having me, Peter. I'm very grateful to be here.
No, I'm really excited to chat with you about Murder Company. I mean, the script to screen kind of journey from an acting perspective really interests me, and I feel like it might change depending on your past projects and everything, mindsets. But what was it like for this one specifically, reading the script and then going and filming it, so to speak?
Yeah, this is obviously a true story, and this is about a real group of guys who, rescued a French resistance fighter, and then they all went on to eliminate this high-ranking Nazi. So it was an intense film, even just on the page. I knew it was going to be intense, and then when we came to shooting it, we shot the whole film in 12 days, and in Bulgaria, in kind of like it was kind of like summer, so it was hot. But I think what we came up with was something pretty special, and that really had to do with our director Shane Dax Taylor, who is, like a real trooper when it comes to filmmaking.
So much happens before you go to camera on a film like this. There's a lot of discussions, a lot of talks, a lot of figuring out the characters, what it's going to look like, aesthetics. There's all these talks. So in a lot of ways, from an acting storyteller perspective, you can look at it as two journeys, right, William? Before filming something and after filming something, or do you see it as one big journey with multiple steps?
I usually see it as one big journey because I think as soon as that script lands in my inbox, and I'm like on the journey to create this character and make this movie, I'm like in it,
Yeah.
and there's not really much that can pull me out of it. So I just begin thinking about how are the ways that I can bring this guy to life. Like, what can I do? And honestly, sometimes it doesn't come to you until the 11th hour, because this film came about very quickly. I think in 3 days I was in Bulgaria. Within a week I was shooting. I was thinking, like, how do I get in this guy's head? Like, what do I do to make him believable? And really what brought him to life was the guys around me.
Yeah.
Shane hired like real kind of tough guys. You like Gilles is a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Gilles was a linebacker. Pooch was a boxer, an amateur boxer. So these were tough guys,
Yeah.
I was going into, and I just took their energy, and then that kind of like propelled me into playing Southern.
Is that the best part of being a storyteller, being able to dive into all these different worlds, play different characters? I think, look, if you look at your incredible filmography, one of the things I love about it is all your characters are very different. Like, it's like they're different kind of genres and stories, but like, I mean, it's credit to you. You're such a good actor, but like, it's different characters, right? That you get to play to have them come alive, so to speak.
Yeah, I'm very grateful that I've played so many different characters, and I think it makes you quite agile as an actor, and it definitely puts you under pressure. So I would advise all actors out there, just take, whatever comes, because you never know how it's going to tap into this part of your mind to then it might, you might be able to use that later for another character. And, you're just trying to make this story as believable as possible, and you in the part completely believable. So I think it's a good thing to play multiple characters. And I'm very grateful that I've been able to do that.
And it's interesting too, because depending on the complexity of the character, sometimes, you wrap a film and you think about this character and you're like, wow, like I had a lot of time with this character, but so complex. Maybe I can learn more about this character. When do you start being comfortable with a character? Like, is it like after, like right before filming? Is it like while, like after you wrap? Like, I'm just curious. Are you ever like familiar enough with a character? Because you get so attached to this character for a good amount of time, right?
Yeah, I always think I should go on vacation after I finish working because I always think I should go lie on a beach in Thailand, like after I'm done, because it like gets in your head.
Yeah.
And I remember I had a friend, and she was like to me, so I was playing Liam on the Royals, and she was like to me, okay, Liam, can we get William back? Can William come back from him? And I was like, okay, I got it, I'm got it. And it's weird how it does that to you, almost subconsciously. With this film specifically, I would dream about war. I
Yeah.
had dreams that I was getting shot, the people around me getting shot,
Yeah.
people are dying, there's blood everywhere. And that's just me pretending. So I can't imagine what it's like to actually go into battle.
Yeah.
What that must be like in someone's consciousness.
Absolutely. You mentioned the Royals, and I find it interesting because, you talked about the importance from an acting perspective, being able to play different characters. And I love that you said that. But again, just specifically the projects, right? Like the Royals, Narnia, and everything, they're very different, right? And you look at Murder Company and everything. How separate are they compared to kind of when you go on to a new project? Like, do you bring things from like Narnia to the Royals? Do you bring things from those projects to Murder Company? I'm just curious, or are they very separate for you once they're done?
No, I think they all play into each other. And it's even like when I did a romantic comedy, I did a Hallmark movie last year, and all they were talking to me about on set was, how do you create more chemistry with them? Create more chemistry, create more chemistry. And I thought, oh my God, what does that mean? So I was like, I learned to create chemistry, like how I do that, like what is that skill? And then you can take that that bit of chemistry that you learn how to create chemistry into perhaps a war film or a science fiction movie. And then from Narnia, where I was like battling, the White Witch, like then I could take that battling sense into another movie. So they all play into each other. It's like a painter who learns to paint all different ways, and they all influence each other.
It's so funny with Narnia because I remember, like, I love the books. Like, I was like so into them before the movie. Like, I knew about it before the movies were announced. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. They stood the test of time, and they're now Netflix is now remaking them with Greta Gerwig, which is going to be amazing. I hope I get to go to set and just see how it all.
But it's interesting too because and that's kind of my next question for like Murder Company, because you talked about kind of like the doing something that's based on true events and everything, and then there's kind of this whole thing about doing something based on like original source material that already existed. What's that like for you? Like when you're doing something that's based on true events or based on a book or something, like are you attached to it? Do you leave it alone? Like I'm curious about that.
Well, I think specifically for this film, it was very interesting for me to play this character because both my grandfathers had fought in World War II.
Okay.
One was a paratrooper, the other one had a plane that was taking off a naval ship, and basically the engines failed, and at night, and they crashed into the sea. He was very lucky to survive, and so and also it's the 80th anniversary of D-Day. And so it's very important that you give everything you can to something that's real life, that you really don't leave anything at the door. So I worked very hard. I ended up getting a chest infection. I had food poisoning all at the same time, and I was working, and I just I was exhausted by the end. So it gave me a really good understanding of what it must be like to be a soldier, and I can't I take my hat off to those people.
Is there, I feel like the answer to this last question like depends on the projects, but it's funny, right? You work on a movie and you're so invested in this kind of journey and job, right? Like this is what your life is for the next like 2 months or something, right? Depending on the length. But then you have days off, you have weekends off and everything. And it depends on the project. But like when you're on a project, are you on a project? Like when you're off, are you still thinking about the project? I'm just curious about that specifically.
I'm very lucky that I actually have the ability to turn it off.
Okay.
And I think that obviously when I come back, you have this whole, it takes you time to like let go of the character. But I just worked with the director, and he said, "Oh, I noticed that when you finish the scene, you're just back to you." And I was like, pretty much. Like I learned to do that. I learned that when we did Narnia, because when we were on Narnia, we had to go to school at the same time as shooting. So, 1 minute you're like learning about Wuthering Heights, and then the next minute you're on the battlefield or whatever. So it's you don't have to be. For me, I don't think I have to be in the character the whole time. I don't think I need to be, and I think I can just switch in and out. Luckily.
Yeah. I can't wait for people to see Murder Company July 5th. It's going to be great. William, it was an honor and privilege to speak with you. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for watching the film and taking the time today. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.